Entonces, como ustedes ya saben, la escuela Sylvia Mendez es la única escuela que tiene el programa de inmersión dual. Entonces, por eso nosotros vamos a hacer la presentación en los ambos idiomas, en español y en inglés, ¿ok? Y para que ustedes sepan, es buena práctica porque todos los eventos, todas las juntas que tenemos en Sylvia Mendez siempre son bilingües, siempre lo vamos a presentar en español y luego lo vamos a practicar en inglés, ¿ok? So, muchísimas gracias de nuevo por estar aquí con nosotros. Antes que comencemos, también quisiera tomar la oportunidad de presentar a nuestro personal. Entonces, vamos a comenzar con el equipo de kindergarten. ¿Quiénes son nuestros maestros? Entonces, primeramente tenemos a maestra Lourdes Rivas. Lourdes, ¿puedes decir hola?
Hola a todos, bienvenidos. Yo me llamo Lourdes Rivas, pero sus estudiantes me van a llamar maestre Lourdes y este es mi 7º año enseñando kinder, próximo a ser número 8. Gracias por estar aquí.
Muchas gracias, Lourdes. Tenemos a Stephanie Hernández Jarvis con nosotros. Stephanie, ¿puedes decir hola?
Hola, hola a todos, bienvenidos. Es un placer conocerlos desde distancia. Espero que estén muy bien con sus familias. Es mi 2º año en Sylvia Mendez y mi 7º como maestra de kinder también.
I'm pretty sure there are some folks from preschool on here.
Okay, thank you. I'll go back and I'll make the announcement about TK. Rocío.
Hola a todos, bienvenidos a la Escuela Sylvia Mendez Virtual. Soy Rocío Guzmán, maestra Rocío, y tengo 7 años ya, Verónica, ¿no? En Sylvia Mendez y 11 enseñando kinder, así que bienvenidos, bienvenidas.
Creo que son 8, tenemos el mismo tiempo, ¿qué no, Rocío?
Oh, sí, 8, wow.
Ya son 8.
8 en
Sí.
Sylvia Mendez.
Y además tenemos a Michelle Gerster, que es nuestra maestra de inglés. So we also have with us Michelle Gerster, who is our English language development teacher. So Michelle, ¿puedes decir hola?
Hola, soy Michelle, soy la maestra de inglés para los aprendices de pienso que ese es mi 7º año, no estoy seguro. Y también soy una mamá de una kinder este año con maestra Rocío.
So this is our amazing staff here at Sylvia Mendez, our kindergarten staff, but also our English language development staff. They all have something in common. The one thing that they have in common is that they have family members actually enrolled. So that is one thing that you should know. Rocio has a 2nd grader. Lourdes actually has 2 nieces, one in 5th grade. I can't believe in 5th grade already, and one in 1st grade. And then Stephanie also has a TK student, and Michelle has her kindergartner right there on camera with her, okay? So for those of you who did not hear the announcement beforehand, this announcement or this information night is strictly for kindergarten enrollment. Anybody who is intending to apply for TK, that session is at a later date, which we can post on our website, and so that you all know. So if you are here for TK, then I'm sorry, but the TK teachers are not here. Entonces, esta noche informativa es estrictamente para los alumnos y las familias que van a entrar a kindergarten, ¿ok? No es para TK, las maestras de TK no están aquí, esa es otra sesión, ¿ok? So nada más quiero que les quede claro, también lo podemos poner en nuestra página de web, ¿ok? Para que ustedes sepan la fecha y el enlace. So we can put that on our website. We'll put the dates and also the link, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the presentation. So let me go ahead and share my screen with everybody.
And Ms. Valerio, I don't think I introduced myself in English. I don't know if all the maestres also did it in English, so I'll do it really quickly. This is my 7th year teaching kinder, my 2nd at Sylvia Mendez, and I'm so excited to meet all of you tonight.
Thank you. And that's one thing that you should also know about Sylvia Mendez is that we get so immersed in one of the languages that sometimes we'll forget the other language. So, you know, feel free. Folks do it all the time. They say, Directora, could you please repeat that in English because we didn't catch that? And I say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay, so feel free. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and share my screen. And we'll go ahead and get started here. And if we can also hold all questions till the end, then I'll make myself available for a few minutes for questions from you all. Okay, so as we said, this is the Sylvia Mendez Kinder Information Night. Welcome everybody, bienvenidos a todos a la noche informativa de Sylvia Mendez. Entonces, ¿cuáles son algunas cosas que nosotros queremos y amamos de Sylvia Mendez? Bueno, nosotros, claro, amamos a la música, que todos los niños son jóvenes, el idioma, somos valientes, somos inteligentes y claro, formamos muchas amistades. So what do we love about Sylvia Mendez? There's tons of songs. We're very youthful here, obviously. We love language, valiente, we're courageous, inteligente, we're intelligent. Amistades, we form a lot of friendships. Entonces, ¿cuáles son las ventajas de aprender un segundo idioma a una edad tan temprana? Claro, tiene un efecto positivo en el crecimiento intelectual y de nuestro cerebro, ¿verdad? Nos da un pensamiento mucho más flexible y un mejor oído para escuchar y la gran sensibilidad al lenguaje. También mejora el entendimiento del estudiante, su lenguaje nativo. Abre las puertas hacia otras culturas y más formas de ver el mundo. Y claro, nos da una ventaja a los requerimientos lingüísticos universitarios y luego también nos abre las puertas a más oportunidades laborales. So, learning a second language at an early age, there's so much research out there, of course, that shows that it has a positive effect on our intellectual growth. We have far more flexibility in thinking, a greater sensitivity to language, and then we have a far better ear for listening. And then, of course, it's going to improve our own understanding of our own native language. And then it's going to open our door to lots of other cultures and ways of viewing the world. And of course, it gives us a head start in language requirements for college. And then, of course, it increases our opportunities in the job market. ¿Qué valoramos nosotros en nuestro programa? Entonces, claro, nosotros valoramos el desarrollo completo, no solamente lo académico. Claro, sí es importante, pero también las necesidades sociales y emocionales de todos nuestros estudiantes de TK, Kinder y hasta quinto grado, ¿verdad? Nosotros valoramos el idioma, la cultura y luego la herencia latina. Claro, nosotros necesitamos la colaboración de las familias en la educación de sus hijos y, como ya dijimos, nos abre más oportunidades profesionales para el futuro. So what do we value here at Sylvia Mendez? So of course we value the whole child, their development. The academics, of course, are always important. It's critical, right? But most importantly, it's the social and the emotional needs of all of our kids in the TK programs, kindergarten, and all the way up to 5th grade. And of course, we value language, culture, and Latino heritage. And then, of course, we can't do this without the collaboration with you all as families and the education of your kids. And then, of course, like we mentioned before, far more career opportunities for the future. En la escuela Sylvia Mendez, en nuestro programa es de inmersión dual en español e inglés. Y eso significa que esperamos tener 50% de nuestros estudiantes que son hispanohablantes y el otro 50% de nuestros estudiantes que hablan inglés o otros idiomas. Y también, claro, hay una diversidad de alumnos y de familias. So we've already mentioned that we have the only dual immersion program in Spanish and English. And with that, we're seeking 50% of students to be native Spanish speakers and then 50% of our students to be English or speakers of another language. And of course, there's a huge diversity in our students and in our families. También tenemos una diversidad en nuestro personal. Nosotros tenemos personal de México, de Perú, de Chile, Puerto Rico, Estados Unidos, Nicaragua, Guatemala, República Dominicana y claro, tenemos celebraciones multiculturales. So we have diversity focusing on Latin American staff. We have staff from Peru. We have staff from Mexico, Chile, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, the United States. And of course, with any opportunity, we're always celebrating Latino heritage or just heritage celebration, excuse me. Entonces, ¿cómo podemos asegurar que nuestros alumnos están aprendiendo inglés? Esta es una gran pregunta, especialmente para los padres que hablan español en casa y que sus hijos hablan español en casa. Quieren estar seguros de que sus hijos también van a aprender ambos idiomas a la vez y que van a ser proficientes a la vez. Entonces, nuestros estudiantes, aprendices de inglés, reciben instrucción en inglés 4 días a la semana en su nivel apropiado. Y las clases se enfocan en el vocabulario y la estructura del inglés. Y al recibir este vocabulario académico en español, entonces están en las materias básicas, perdón, estamos preparando a los alumnos para la transición en inglés. Entonces, la transición formal comienza en el 3er grado. So how do we guarantee that our students are proficient in both languages? And that's specifically for kids like myself who grow up at home just speaking Spanish, and then you go out into the world and there's nothing but English, right? So how do we do that? How do we ensure that? And that's a big question that we get from a lot of our families who want to make sure that their kids are proficient in both languages. So for an English learner like myself, then I would receive English language instruction at my level 4 days a week. And the classes would really focus on vocabulary and English structure. And then for a student like myself, then I would receive all this academic vocabulary in Spanish in all my main subjects, but that's also preparing me for the transition into English. And the transition, the formal transition to English instruction starts in 3rd grade in literacy. So that all applies to traditional classes when we are here in school, right? But we realize that we're in a very specific situation at distance learning. And so we just wanted to provide you with some pictures about what learning looks like currently in distance learning. Entonces, nosotros sabemos todo lo que hemos hablado y hemos mencionado. Eso es lo que normalmente ocurre cuando nosotros estamos dentro de la escuela, ¿verdad? Pero nosotros sabemos que estamos en tiempos extraordinarios y que estamos al aprendizaje a distancia. Entonces, también queríamos compartir unas fotos de nuestros maestros, de nuestro personal y de nuestros alumnos y el tipo de trabajo que ellos están produciendo ahorita durante el aprendizaje a distancia. So, ahí está Rocío y ahí está el trabajo de sus alumnos. Ahí tenemos una alumna que está mostrando sus matemáticas, su trabajo de matemáticas. Perdón, we have a student. Sorry about that. I forgot. See, there I go, forgetting my English translation. So there's a student demonstrating her work in math. Y luego, claro, tenemos muchos proyectos de arte. So we have lots of art projects because we want to keep it fun. Halloween, las brujas. Ok, entonces voy a parar mi presentación y voy a tomar unos minutos para ustedes, padres, para que ustedes hagan cualquier pregunta, si gustan, y luego vamos a hacer la transición al personal. Entonces va a estar disponible Stephanie, Rocío, Lourdes y también Michelle si tienen alguna pregunta. Y ustedes pueden hacer cualquier pregunta acerca del programa escolar. Okay, so I'm just going to make myself available for a few minutes if anybody has any direct questions for myself. If not, then I'll just go ahead and turn it over to our teachers, to our staff, and then they can answer any questions about the curriculum, about an A in kindergarten. Okay, if you have any questions about admissions, if you could just hold those to the very, very end, we'll give sufficient time to discuss any questions specifically about admissions, okay? All right, so let me stop sharing my screen. If anybody has any questions for me, you can feel free if you know how to work the little hand, si saben cómo hacer la manita, entonces pueden utilizarlo también. Entonces, por ejemplo, hay preguntas para mí, la directora.
Yo veo una pregunta y una mano, Gabriela.
Sí,
Okay.
no sé cómo usar la manita.
Está perfecto, así lo hacemos.
Okay. I was just curious about the 50-50 ratio, like how, how that plays out. Is Sylvia Mendez able to get the 50-50 on each side?
The demographics of Berkeley are dramatically shifting. And so we work really hard to recruit from within our preschools, our Spanish-speaking preschools. And so we do our best. What we're finding is that we actually have a lot of students who are heritage learners and who are bilingual. So like for myself, I was born here in the United States. My entire family's from Mexico. So everybody just knew how to speak Spanish, right? But I was born here. And because I was born here, then I grew up knowing both languages and both cultures. So we have a lot of kids who are also already, you know, at 4 and 5 years old, they're already completely bilingual. So, entonces la pregunta es que si nosotros podemos, si tenemos suficientes alumnos que sí son hispanohablantes, que hablan español. Entonces estoy explicando que la demográfica de Berkeley está cambiando drásticamente. Entonces nosotros estamos tratando de reclutar alumnos de las escuelas preescolares que tienen programas en español. Y además, muchos de nuestros alumnos también son niños que son bilingües. Por ejemplo, yo que nací aquí en los Estados Unidos, pero mi familia es de México, yo crecí hablando ambos idiomas, entonces soy completamente proficiente en los dos. Y tenemos varios alumnos que ya, aunque tengan 4 o 5 años, ellos son completamente proficientes en ambos idiomas. ¿Ok? Ok. Tao, creo que es Tao. ¿Tiene una manita, Tao? Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. My name is Jeff. Tao's my wife. She's over here. This is Tenzin. I have a question about continuing bilingual education after Sylvia Mendez. You know, in the Berkeley School District, in junior high and high school, are there advanced classes for Spanish speakers?
Yeah, so actually we do have a theater middle school that provides a 2-way immersion program in the middle school, and that's Longfellow Middle School. So this year we're actually really excited. They have a new principal, Paco Furlan, who has been a principal in Berkeley before. He took a sabbatical and now he's back and he took over as the principal at Longfellow. We're excited because this is the first year we're actually really collaborating with Longfellow. So we are expecting to really develop a robust program from kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. And then of course, when students get into high school, then there are AP classes and there's, I believe there's Spanish for Spanish speakers, which focuses much more on academic development and vocabulary. So yeah, we do have programs. So the short answer is yes, we do have programs all the way up to 8th grade and then in high school as well. There's also the seal of biliteracy that students can actually achieve. So you have to actually demonstrate proficiency in both languages. Your grades have to be up to par. And I believe they have to take a test in high school to demonstrate that they're actually bilingual in both. And then they actually get a seal of biliteracy on their high school diploma. So that's something else exciting that we would like to really fully develop from kindergarten all the way up to high school. So we're in collaboration with that. Entonces la pregunta es que si hay un programa de inmersión dual siguiendo hasta la high school. Entonces, la respuesta es sí. También Longfellow Middle School tiene un programa de inmersión dual del 6º, 7º y 8º. Y claro, cuando van a Berkeley High School, entonces también hay cursos de español para hispanohablantes. Y también hay un sello de ser bilingüe, que también se les puede poner en su diploma a cada alumno, pero tienen que demostrar que son proficientes en ambos idiomas, parece que tienen que tomar exámenes y también sus calificaciones para poder lograr el sello de bilingüismo, ¿ok? Entonces la respuesta es sí, y además también dijimos que el director Paco Furlan también es el nuevo director de la escuela Longfellow y nosotros ya estamos empezando a colaborar, entonces esperamos tener mucho éxito con el director y con el programa de Sylvia Mendez y con el programa de Longfellow.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else have any other questions for me before I turn it over to our amazing staff?
Hay 4 manos.
Okay.
David.
Question.
Oh, también. Hola, 5.
Okay, so David, sigue David, you have tu mano, David.
Hi, sorry, we're hiding in the car to get away from bedtime. What question is, I didn't quite follow when you were talking about how like the English learner classes go. Is the idea that like the kids from both backgrounds or all backgrounds are in classes together most of the time, but there are also some parts of the week where they're sort of separated and there's classes for the English learners and classes for the Spanish learners, or that's what I didn't quite follow.
That's correct. So Maestra Michelle Gerster. She's our English language development teacher. And we also have another teacher. Her name is Indelisa Carrillo. And so depending upon your language, your level, so let's say for example, me, Veronica, you know, I only speak Spanish at home, and then here I come into Sylvia Mendez, and I do require English language development. So Michelle would come out. We actually have designated times where Michelle would come out and she would pull me out from my classroom, and then Michelle knows exactly what my level of English is. She knows exactly what skills I need to focus on and what I need to develop. And so Michelle's giving me that instruction for about 40 minutes, you know, 4 times a week. And so then I go right back to class. And during that exact time, so let's just say, you know, it's from 9 to 10 or 9 to 9:40, excuse me. So let's just say it's from 9 to 9:40. While I'm being pulled out, then the classroom teacher, which could be Rocio, then Rocio is actually providing Spanish language development. So whatever, you know, if you're a Spanish learner, then you're also receiving Spanish language development at the same time that I, as an English language learner, am receiving English language development. So we basically block off time. Does that make sense to everybody? We block off times and then everybody gets exactly what they need. Entonces la pregunta es, nada más aclarando el tiempo del ELD. Y sí, la respuesta es que yo, como soy aprendiz de inglés, entonces yo necesito mi clase designado de inglés a mi nivel, pero a la vez, entonces los alumnos que están aprendiendo español, ellos también están teniendo su clase del desarrollo de español. Entonces, todos los alumnos están recibiendo el mismo tipo de instrucción en su idioma, ¿ok? En el idioma que están aprendiendo, ¿ok? All right. Anybody else?
Hay varias manos. No sé quién estaba después, pero Natasha.
Y hay preguntas en el chat también. We have some questions in the chat. as well.
Okay. Natasha.
Yes, hello, sorry, hi, my name is Casey, Natasha's my wife. The question, we have twin daughters, and we're wondering, curious about what your policy is on keeping twins together or separating them, and if separated, is there opportunities throughout the day where they would be connecting and back together with each other? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. We have had twins in the past. So currently under distance learning, what we've done is we've actually put the kids together in the class just because it was too difficult to have 2 different kids online at the same time with different links. It was just too complicated. So for that reason, we actually put them together. But typically for twins, we actually separate them because we want the kids to develop on their own. We want them to develop their own set of skills with their separate teachers. We want them to really focus on being individuals and on really developing their confidence. What we saw is that some kids were depending on their twin, you know, for help and for answers and for support. And then one of them, you know, was a little bit stronger and one of them was stronger in another area. And so what we really wanted to do is we really want the kids to focus just on developing themselves and on just creating their individuality. So that's what we've done in the past when we have in-person instruction. La pregunta es acerca de los gemelitos. Si tenemos gemelos en la clase, ¿y cuál es la política que nosotros seguimos acerca de si los mantenemos juntos en la clase o si los separamos? Ahorita, en este momento, cuando estamos teniendo aprendizaje a distancia, nosotros hemos puesto a los gemelos juntos, porque era muy difícil para nosotros tener 2 diferentes clases con 2 diferentes enlaces y 2 diferentes tipos de tarea para los alumnos. Entonces, por eso decidimos nosotros juntarlos en este momento, para este año en que estamos en aprendizaje a distancia. Normalmente lo que hacemos es que nosotros los separamos cuando estamos en persona en la escuela. Los separamos porque lo que nosotros hemos visto es que queremos a nuestros alumnos a que se desarrollen y sean individuales, ¿verdad? No queremos que luego uno tenga fuerza en puntos fuertes en ciertas áreas y otros en otra, y luego que estén dependiendo en sí mismos en la clase. Entonces nosotros queremos que todos fortalecen sus puntos fuertes y sean individuales. ¿Okay? Okay.
Parece que sigue Abby Ensko.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, thanks. I was just wondering, for the kids who aren't native Spanish speakers, what is their kind of level of Spanish, or what's the distribution of level of Spanish coming in? My kid was in Spanish immersion preschool, but it all got sort of thrown off by COVID. So I guess I'm just wondering, like, what your expectations are for Spanish level.
You know, we have all kinds of levels. We have some kids who already come in knowing how to speak Spanish because they've been at a Spanish-speaking preschool, or, you know, they have some Spanish-speaking members, or they have none, you know. And so we have all kinds of students at Sylvia Mendez. And we accept everybody, and we meet kids exactly where they're at. And our teachers are super experienced with meeting kids where they're at. They use a lot of visual cues. Every now and then they will give directions or steps in English. They shelter it with English just because, you know, they notice. They're like, oh, you know, the kids are, you know, it doesn't look like they really understand what I'm saying. So, you know, we're not going to leave them out there to struggle. We do want them to understand what we're saying and what we're asking of them. And so sometimes we will, you know, give directions and instructions in English. Okay, we don't want everybody to struggle too much. Okay, but at the same time, it is an immersion program, so you know you are going to hear pretty much 100% Spanish.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But there's a big range. It sounds like there's just a big range of levels coming in.
Ya, entonces la pregunta fue de que si tenemos alumnos que hablan español, o bueno, que entran, que no son hispanohablantes, y cuál es su nivel de español, y si los aceptamos, y cómo manejamos el nivel de todos los alumnos. Entonces, claro, nuestros maestros tienen mucha experiencia con esto, aún nosotros tenemos la experiencia ahorita actualmente, en la cual nuestros maestros también a veces tienen que traducir ciertas direcciones en inglés, porque nosotros notamos que nuestros alumnos a veces no entienden o no saben lo que nosotros les estamos pidiendo. Entonces tenemos que hablar un poco de inglés, ¿ok? Okay. Anybody else? I don't know who's keeping track of hands.
Who's next?
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, hi.
Hello, how are you?
I guess I'm next. Fine, thank you, Veronica. I have 2 questions. So
Sure.
what curriculum do you guys use?
For reading, for reading and writing, we use Teachers College Reading and Writing Project. We use that, it's from Lucy Calkins. And then for math, we use the Story of Units. For social studies, we use TCI. Don't ask me what that stands for. I can't remember right now, but we do use that. And then for science, we actually use FOSKIT. I'm sorry, the teachers actually create the science, because from 1st through 5th grade, we actually use the science kits because we have a science teacher. We have a designated science teacher. So for kindergarten, the teachers actually create it themselves.
I see.
So yeah.
And then my second question is, how does testing, how do you guys do testing? Is it, do they have to do both English and Spanish testing, or how does that work for state testing?
For state testing, it's only in English, and that's in 3rd grade. That starts in 3rd grade, and that's in English only. We don't provide it in Spanish.
So for kinder, 1st, 2nd, there's what kind of testing is done?
Typically for kinder and for 1st grade and 2nd grade, what we use is we actually use Teachers College Reading and Writing. So all kindergartners, upon entry and upon entrance to Sylvia Mendez, they actually are going to have a universal screener. And so that's just going to be like, you know, basic numbers, counting.
Right, to see where they're at.
Correct. And then letter recognition, letter sounds. And we usually do that in both languages because we really want to get a good picture of which skills kids know when they come in. And then moving forward, then they're using Teachers College Reading Writing Project and the math, they're testing only in Spanish. Entonces la pregunta es acerca de los exámenes. Entonces, claro, cuando los niños entran en kinder, entonces les vamos a hacer los exámenes en ambos idiomas, en inglés y en español, porque queremos saber cuáles destrezas tienen los niños cuando entran. Pero ya, entonces, cuando empezamos a enseñar todos los exámenes de lectura, de escritura y de matemáticas, entonces van a ser en español, porque es lo que estamos enseñando, el idioma en el cual estamos enseñando. Okay?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Done now?
That's me. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. What is the average number of LGBTQ families do you have at Sylvia Mendez?
You know, I really don't know what the number is, but it's quite a few. It's quite a bit. Yeah, I don't have a percentage though, but we are active about integrating our social emotional learning and LGBTQ. We do teach welcoming schools. We integrate that into our social emotional learning curriculum. And so, you know, it's just like it's a daily, you know, it's something that we just ingrain into our daily instruction. Yeah.
Thank
you. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Dan Gold.
Hola, una pregunta. Yo quería saber si los alumnos que ya hablan español en casa, si hay algún tipo de instrucción diferente o extra para que ellos se enriquezcan de alguna manera y no se aburran en la clase.
Sí, maestros, ¿alguien quiere responder a esta pregunta acerca de lo que ustedes ven? Porque tenemos muchos casos de alumnos que ya entran sabiendo cómo hablar español y que dominan el idioma. Entonces, maestras, tal vez ustedes en este momento queremos hacer también la transición para abrir las preguntas a las maestras porque se nos va el tiempo, okay? So maybe at this time, this is a really great opportunity for us to transition and open it up to teachers as well. So the question is Dan, Mr. Kelly, do you want to ask the question again in English?
Sure.
I just want to give you the teachers the opportunity to start chiming in because our time is slipping away. So now we can just start opening it up to everybody. But again, admissions questions we'll keep to the end, okay? Las preguntas acerca de admisiones podemos mantenerlos hasta el final. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, so just wondering for native Spanish speakers, is there additional instruction to enrich their Spanish, which is already strong from speaking it at home? Obviously, we all want everybody to be bilingual, but you know, is there a concern that native Spanish speakers might feel a little bored if we're trying to catch, you know, some kids up to get them up to speed in Spanish too? So trying to thread that needle.
Great, thank you. So Rocio and Stephanie currently have their 2 kids who are native Spanish speakers. So go ahead.
Ok, yo voy. Lo digo en español y de ahí lo...
Vale, sí, sí.
Pues tenemos bastantes, no bastantes, pero tenemos varios estudiantes que son dominantes del español o hemos tenido en los últimos años. Y lo que nos da la facilidad de diferenciar en nuestro currículo de lectura, escritura, es... podemos diferenciar por niveles, no están leyendo todo lo mismo, no están escribiendo lo mismo. A los estudiantes que hablan español como primer idioma, usualmente los empujamos a que usen más vocabulario en las oraciones. Eso es en lo que es académico escrito, ¿no? Escritura y lectura. Perdón, me fui y no traduje. ¿Quieres introducir?
Sí, yeah. I was taking mental notes. So each year we get a lot of kids who come in already speaking Spanish, being very fluent in the language. And so the way that they're able to be challenged is by differentiated instruction and having, for example, level text. So not everybody's reading at the same level, but they're able to have different types of books at different levels so that we're meeting them where they are. And in addition to that, we also make sure that we give them the opportunity to learn more vocabulary. So they may be coming in knowing a lot of Spanish already, but they're actually expanding their vocabulary. So they're able to use varied sentence structure and communicate in ways that continue to grow and help them become more advanced and biliterate, not just bilingual, but also biliterate.
Sí, y en el desarrollo oral del español, nosotros tenemos bueno, esto pasa durante el tiempo de escuela, durante más tiempo. Más adelante vamos a hablar del aprendizaje a distancia, pero tenemos un tiempo designado para desarrollo de español, en donde ponemos a los estudiantes por nivel de español y también desarrollo del inglés, y también los agrupamos por el nivel y tratamos de hacer bueno, canciones, teatro, diferentes actividades en las que ellos puedan producir más español y, como dijo Stephanie, ampliar más el nivel de vocabulario. Y pasa usualmente en las tardes, ¿no? Durante el tiempo del laboratorio de lenguaje.
So we also have a designated Spanish language development hour. Well, not hour, but a block in the afternoon, usually when language lab instruction is happening for students who are learning English. So what we do is have different activities for them to do that include singing, poems, dancing, rhyming, things that have to do with just engaging them and learning in different modalities and at different levels too. So we group them in a way that makes sense and helps them build on what they have already.
Sí, y veo en el chat varias preguntas sobre qué es lo que estamos haciendo ahorita en el aprendizaje a distancia, que me imagino que es algo que está en la mente de todos, ¿no? De todos ustedes, nosotros, qué va a pasar, no hay nada definido, si será a distancia completo, híbrido, si regresaremos. Queremos darle como un vistazo a lo que está pasando en la clase ahorita, sobre todo que hay preguntas ahí, creo que voy a responder las preguntas que están en el chat sobre el aprendizaje a distancia.
So we have a lot of questions right now in the chat around distance learning, what's happening right now, what is the kindergarten looking like during the distance learning program that we have. So I think that if we go and spend a little bit of time just going over what it's looking like right now and giving kind of a brief overview, and then we can move into answering more questions as well.
Sí, este año, pues como ya lo dije, ha sido un año diferente. Bueno, ya terminó, no estamos empezando el nuevo, pero ha sido diferente para los estudiantes. Creo que las expectativas, los miedos de las familias y de nosotros como maestres de empezar un año para kinder, ¿no? La primera experiencia fue al principio como estábamos, ¿qué va a pasar? Pero siento que ahora los estudiantes ya tienen una rutina, todos nos hemos acostumbrado, los estudiantes son increíbles, no se imaginan lo fuerte que son los pequeñitos, ellos están ya casi, bueno, no, ya casi están acostumbrados a aprender en la computadora. Solo quiero decir eso para que la ansiedad baje, porque yo sé que era un temor grande de todos y ellos nos están demostrando que se puede hacer esto. Stephanie, ¿le das?
We're starting off a new year. Last year was a little bit difficult to try to adjust and everything was all over the place because we were trying to get adjusted to the new normal. As we begin this new year and as we started the school year too, it was very different. We have the schedule set, we have an understanding, everybody has the same expectations of what we're doing. And the kids have really been exceptional. Like they have been able to adjust so well. And of course there have been a lot of hiccups too, but it's just been amazing to see them adjust and continue to grow even during, our Zoom class sessions rather than in person.
Sí, y voy a empezar, voy a nombrar lo que estamos haciendo, voy a ir por puntos para que Stephanie pueda traducir. Lo primero del aprendizaje a la distancia que queremos que sepan es que ahora más que siempre hemos trabajado en equipo con las familias, en la comunidad de Kinder, en la comunidad de Sylvia Mendez, pero ahora sentimos que el equipo está más fuerte que nunca porque estamos enseñándole juntos a sus estudiantes o les vamos a enseñar juntos a sus estudiantes.
So our team has always worked to be in close partnership with families and to really work together to teach your children, but now more than ever, because we're teaching in partnership, we're modeling how to teach some things to you. So we're really relying on that communication and back and forth partnership so that we're a team and we can support from a distance and you can support at home as well.
Sí, y como está pasando eso, primero la comunicación con las familias es diaria, semanalmente, por correo electrónico, por anuncios. Usamos diferentes plataformas de anuncios, de aplicaciones, Remind, Blooms, con acontecimientos, eventos de la escuela, de clase, pero está pasando constantemente, a veces hasta textos diario para mantener la comunicación abierta y que ustedes sepan lo que va a pasar, lo que está pasando, sobre todo ahora, ¿no?
So communication is constant and consistent. We have different ways of reaching to families, whether email, text, phone call, messages, email blasts, on the Remind app, on the Blooms app for things that are happening at school, whether it is like a materials pickup or something, a book exchange, something like that, that has to do with getting your attention so that you know what's going on. So we really try to reach families in multiple ways, weekly and daily, and as often as we need to.
Sí, y pasando a lo académico, ¿cómo es un día de kinder virtual? ¿No? Les vamos a explicar. Primero quiero hablar un poquito del idioma, porque habían preguntas en el chat sobre qué cantidad de español, qué cantidad de inglés. Al principio, las primeras semanas que empezó este año escolar, tuvimos que romper un poquito el modelo y hablar un poquito de inglés al principio, sobre todo porque los niños, sobre todo los que no hablan español, no queríamos que estén perdidos, que estén asustados, estamos en una caja, ¿verdad? En lugar de estar con ellos. Al principio tuvimos que usar un poquito más de inglés de lo que generalmente, usualmente hacemos en la clase, pero de ahí, como les dije, los estudiantes se acostumbraron tan rápido y la transición fue no tan difícil que ya casi toda la instrucción es en español. Por ahí tenemos que explicar quizás algunas cosas en inglés, conceptos que queremos que no pierdan, pero se está dando en español.
So the first few weeks of the school year, we did it differently. We had to kind of break the model a little bit because we wanted kids to know what was going on and not to be lost, especially the kids who did not speak Spanish. We wanted them to know what we were doing, and because we're in Zoom, we didn't want it to be like we're just in a box, we're far from each other, and then you don't know what's going on. So we used more English than usual, and the kids really adjusted well to the transition from English to Spanish. And sometimes we still explain concepts that we really don't want them to miss out on. So something that we're teaching that is very pertinent to what we're going to be doing and that we really cannot have them miss out on, then we make sure that we also explain it in English so that they catch that.
Sí, y como es un día regular de instrucción virtual, porque había preguntas sobre los minutos, pues tenemos sesiones sincronizadas, que es las lecciones de grupo entero en las mañanas. A las 9 de la mañana pasan, luego tenemos los grupos pequeños. Nosotros estamos haciendo, porque queríamos diferenciar, ¿no? Teníamos tantos diferentes niveles, que tratamos de ayudar, de enseñar a las necesidades de sus estudiantes, pues los cambiamos a 3 grupos, no sé cómo será, pero eso es lo que pasa ahora. En lugar de tener grupo A, B, estamos teniendo grupo A, B, C, para poder tener menos estudiantes y poder ayudarlos más eficientemente, ¿no?
So we have our daily schedule comprised of having the whole group session in the morning with everybody there. And then we have the small group sessions that have the ABC group. So they're made up of smaller cohorts of students so that they're able to get more individualized instruction, and we can have them, we can meet them at their level so that it's not just everybody together again and again. So we actually have them broken up into smaller sessions so that we can focus on them more individually and their learning.
También queríamos, este año un cambio que tuvimos es tener sesiones individuales con los estudiantes semanales por 15 minutos. El propósito fue de poder conectar con ellos, porque como les dije, no sabíamos cómo iba a funcionar esto, y creo que es la parte más bonita y lo que más nos gusta a las maestras y a los estudiantes. Tenemos un tiempo de 15 minutos aproximadamente en el que nomás estamos practicando el español y les hablamos en español y les decimos, ok, a ver, dime esto, sobre todo los que están aprendiendo español, ¿no? Y los que hablan mucho español, pues es nuestro tiempo para conversar, porque es uno en uno y es un tiempo muy, muy lindo que ojalá que lo podamos seguir también en la clase, porque es tan especial y les encanta a los estudiantes y a nosotros también.
So something that we're doing very differently this year is that we're actually having one-on-one time. So connection calls is what we call them. And they're approximately 15 minutes. And they're really fun because it's a time when we connect with the children, and it's like to bond and to talk and to practice the language and to just exchange, just like a fun time, right? Exchange ideas, talk. We can use like stuffed animals. We bring toys. Sometimes they show us their toys, and it's kind of like a show and tell time, but really focus on building the relationship, having fun, and having a time to practice the language in a non-academic way.
Tenemos también bueno, por lo mismo que hablé que estamos trabajando mucho en equipo, hemos tenido bastantes reuniones para familia, tenemos mucho apoyo para las familias, reuniones de padres como cohort de kinder, y también estamos ofreciendo las clases de enriquecimiento, que son jardinería, música, y eso lo está apoyando el PTA de la escuela. Y también, bueno, tenemos biblioteca y educación física en la semana. Una vez por semana, educación física y música, y biblioteca y jardinería cada otra semana.
So we have been having small meetings with parents to just give them support when we're having to show them a new program that we're using or checking about something that they need. So we're able to provide that feedback and support to parents during small meetings. We're also having enrichment classes. We have music every Wednesday supported by the PTA. And on Fridays, we have physical education once a week as well. And then every other week, the students alternate going to the enrichment classes for farm and garden and for library.
Sí, todo lo que hemos mencionado hasta ahorita son las clases en vivo, ¿verdad? Lo que pasa en vivo, sí, clases en vivo. Y lo que estamos haciendo nosotros como equipo es tratar de integrar todas las materias, porque el tiempo obviamente es mucho menos de lo que pasaría si estuviésemos en la clase. Entonces estamos tratando de integrar todo el currículo de ciencias sociales, socioemocional, con la escritura, con la lectura, con las matemáticas, para poderles la mayor cantidad de instrucción académica en el poco tiempo que tenemos ahora, ¿no? Diario.
So we're really working on integrating all the subjects during the live sessions because of the limited time that we have together daily. So what we have been talking about have been the live sessions that we have, whether a small group, whole group, and really making the most of integrating science, social, emotional, art, writing, reading, everything, so that math, so that we can make the most out of their learning and maximize it in the time that we have together on Zoom.
Lo siento, estaba leyendo el chat. Ok, ahora nos toca hablar de las lecciones. Cuando no están las lecciones en vivo, el tiempo asincronizado, usamos varias plataformas para apoyar el aprendizaje que está pasando durante el tiempo en vivo. Tenemos la plataforma de CISA, estamos usando programas digitales de apoyo de la lectura, usamos RAS Kids, EPIC, ahora Despegando, tenemos Matemática Estimás, estamos usando Khan Academy. Son varias plataformas que usamos para apoyar las rutinas y estamos tratando de dar la mayor cantidad de proyectos para que tengan en familia, para hacer arte con los estudiantes que pueden hacer en casa, ¿no? Usualmente dejamos las actividades, hacemos un modelo, dejamos las actividades en CISO y ustedes pueden hacerlo en casa, continuar en casa.
So for the independent activities that are done at home, not during the live sessions, we use different programs and a platform, Seesaw, to post them so that you can access them and via your student's Clever account. So the Clever account connects the other digital programs that we have, like RAS Kids, SD Math, Khan Academy, to enrich their learning and supplement from the daily lessons. And then we also have hands-on family enrichment projects that we model and then we post it on Seesaw, and then you can complete it with your child. And we have been able to work with our room parents to pass those out, to distribute them, to have pickup places so that everybody can get the materials and do them at home on their own.
I also want to do a time check. We have about 9 minutes left. Tenemos 9 minutos.
Sí, ya casi terminamos. Sobre las evaluaciones, estamos evaluando a los estudiantes constantemente, informalmente, formalmente. Estamos usando evaluaciones, bueno, van a estar aprendiendo a leer, evaluaciones sobre los sonidos, la fonética, la conciencia fonológica. Estamos tratando de hacerlo lo más que se pueda para poder tener data actual y constante para poder apoyarlos lo más que podamos este tiempo, ¿no?
And for assessments, we use a lot of informal and as well as formal assessments that are formative and that give us information in cycles so that we're consistently being able to have actual data and support them in what they need support in to become readers and writers. And we focus on phonics, on phonological awareness, and that's basically like, do they know their letter names, their sounds, do they know how to use them, can they put together syllables, can they start reading words on their own, they identify different parts of a word said aloud. But they're cyclical and they really help to guide our instruction and support them as much as we can.
Y pues ya nosotros queremos abrir ahora el piso para más preguntas. Vamos a revisar el chat si es que hay preguntas que no hemos contestado. Y
también tenemos a Adam y a Erika que han esperado pacientemente. So Adam and Erica, I know you've been waiting patiently with your little blue hand raised. So I do also want to acknowledge both Adam and Erica. So Adam. Let's take Adam. Let's take Erica, and then we can move on to questions in the chat.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for giving up your evening to answer our questions. Really appreciate it. You talked a little bit about the curricular choices or curricular tools that the school is using. And you also talked about biliteracy. Can you talk a little bit about how since we're talking about kindergarten, can you talk a little bit about how foundational skills instruction works, specifically in the context of biliteracy? Like, is there a foundational skills program or curriculum that's being used, a phonics and phonemic awareness program that's being used, and how that instruction looks like for specifically kindergarten students?
Okay. Maestras, does anybody want to take that, or do you want me to answer?
Sí. Pues para lo que es las estrategias básicas, ¿no? Para los estudiantes de kinder tenemos la conciencia fonológica, usamos canciones y cuentos, la fonética, usamos estrellitas y el alfabeto, el orden de las letras, cómo escuchan los sonidos los estudiantes lo estamos enseñando constantemente, diario rimas, a través de canciones, poemas. Tratamos de, como tenemos bastantes diferentes currículos que usamos, tratamos de integrar la fonética, la conciencia fonológica para poder, para no serlo tan pesado. Y estoy hablando ahorita, ¿no? Que estamos en el aprendizaje a distancia. Estamos tratando de integrar los dos para darle, como dijeron, ¿no? las estrategias básicas ahora lo más que se pueda.
Stephanie, you want to translate?
Yeah, I can translate it. I didn't hear the very first part. I zoned out a little bit. I'm so sorry. I heard the last part.
It's about phonological phonemic awareness, what programs we use and how you use it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we use canciones y cuentos, and we really base it off of using sounds, reading, songs, and really just like we're consistently doing assessments that are not like huge assessments, but they're small, they're quick, and they give us an idea of like, does your child know how to identify the initial sound of a word, the middle sound, the ending sound? If they know how to do that, can they put the sounds back together to form a word? So do they have the basic foundational skills to become a reader and a writer that works independently and confidently to use the letter sounds from the alphabet? And so we use estrellita as the sound system. And it has 12 segments, and so we get to do it little by little with them. So it's not like you have to learn all of the sounds right off the bat. Like it's very digestible. Like you can go one section at a time, and then that gives us feedback on how to support them and how we can support you in supporting them as well. So it really has to do with just assessing them consistently, and I think that gives us information on how to support them best. And we have a lot of teamwork, I think, and that really helps us to figure out how to support each kid, and our aides as well, and our TA teachers really support all of the work to get this done.
Thank you. And if I can squeeze in one more quick one. You mentioned social emotional learning earlier, and is there a set SEL curriculum that you all use, or is it just based on training or other development, or is there you operating from a curriculum?
Yeah, the whole district actually uses Toolbox. So it is the social emotional curriculum. And again, we integrate that a lot with the welcoming schools. So, we do a lot of integration. We also come up with themes for the whole year. So we come up with monthly themes. Of course, this is when we were in person and teachers had a lot more time to collaborate. But we still try to maintain that as much as possible. Sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
I put something in the chat. It has additional kind of more thorough information about the curriculum. It's from last year, but it's still relevant. And if you have any questions or anything, also my email is there, and I'm happy to answer any questions if your question wasn't answered tonight.
Okay, and then we have Erika. Erika also had a question. She's been super patient. Thank you, Erika. I appreciate that.
Hi, thank you so much. I just was wondering about your perspective on how students who don't have a Spanish-speaking caregiver at home, how they do in the program. I'm just wondering about, being able to help with homework and stuff like that.
Yeah, we actually try to make the homework as user-friendly as possible for all families. So, and anything that you don't understand, then you can always rely on just constant communication from the teachers. The teachers will always over-communicate. That's the one thing I can really say about this team, is that they're amazing about really over-communicating and being supportive to families who, tell us, I have no idea what my kid is saying. My kid is speaking Spanish now, and I have no clue what they're saying. So I need some help. And so also the community, the community will also wrap around you and help you out as much as possible. And we also provide, when we are in person, we also provide Spanish classes for parents, and the PTA actually pays for it. So there's a lot of support. So I wouldn't worry about you as a person, like as a parent. And if you do need the help, then obviously just reach out. Okay. And then for our students pretty much adapt. They really do. They adapt, and they're at different levels. Some kids are still in the silent stage, and some kids, after a few months, they are just talking away. So it really just depends. And we have about 2 minutes left. So I know there's a million questions that folks have. I did put my email in the chat. So if if there are any follow-up emails, feel free, you can email me. In the email, I would include your phone number, because it's also a lot easier for me to just pick up the phone and give you a call. So you can always do that. And then I know I said, please hold on to any questions about admissions to the end. So I also want to open up any questions about admissions before I let teachers go. So teachers, it is 7:59. I just want to thank our teachers for being here. They do have children to put to bed as well as you do. I know that. And they also have to have dinner. So I want to respect their time. So quisiera darle muchas gracias a todas las maestras que vinieron, a todo el personal. Tienen que cenar, también tienen que poner a sus bebés, igual como ustedes, a dormir. Así que gracias a los maestros. Pero si tienen preguntas acerca de admisiones, entonces por favor quédense unos minutos más. Puedo quedarme como unos 10 minutos más para hablar con ustedes, ¿ok? So... Gracias, Lourdes. Gracias, Rocío. Gracias, Stephanie. Gracias, Maestra Michelle.
Adiós. Gracias. Mucho gusto.
All right. So I will stick around for about 10 more minutes. I haven't had dinner yet, so I would love to have dinner at some point tonight. So I can stick around for 10 more minutes. If we have any other questions about admissions, Francisco Martinez, the Director of Admissions, is actually here with me now. Francisco, where are you?
I have been here the whole time.
Oh, sorry. See, we had a cameo appearance from Francisco.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions,
Veronica, about the language placement test, the Spanish language placement test that typically takes place in the spring.
Okay. That's a really good question. We're not even that far yet. So that's a really good question. If we could put that on hold. I don't have an answer right now. We haven't really discussed it, right, Francisco?
We briefly talked about it, but we don't have it yet. We know there is something that we need to resolve, and it normally happens. Just so, can I have let me speak for 1 minute?
Go for it.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. So I'm gonna be really, really super fast because like Veronica, I also want to go and have dinner, haven't had dinner, and then I want to have a drink. So I'm just kidding. So one of the things that, yeah, I have water too. So one of the things that we're going to do, the forms are already available on the district's website where you can go and apply. And one of the things about Sylvia Mendez is that it's an optional program. It is not a, families are not required to apply to it, but it is, it's a program that is very popular with a lot of families in Berkeley. Mm-hmm. So somebody said something about the 50-50 model and how do we do it? So as Veronica said, we have the population in Berkeley, especially Spanish-speaking population, has declined over the years. But our goal continues to be at this time to get like 50% of students who are Spanish-speaking and 50% of students who are English-speaking. How do we get to the 50% of Spanish-speaking students? Is we assess them in the beginning, and normally happens in February. That's when the assessment has taken place in the past, and then families are informed. If they were accepted into Sylvia Mendez, they receive a letter, an assignment letter sometime in the middle of March. That is always our goal. So that's when you will be getting it. So let me just now say it in Spanish really quickly as well. Yo me llamo Francisco Martínez, trabajo en la admisión en el distrito de inscripciones en Berkeley. Y el propósito el formulario ya está en el en el website para las personas que lo quieran a meter. El programa de Sylvia Mendez es un programa opcional, no es obligatorio para las personas que lo solicitan, pero si lo solicitan, por favor sepan que el 50% de los estudiantes van a ser estudiantes que hablan español, 50% que hablan en inglés. Se traduce como aproximadamente como 33 estudiantes que hablan español y 33 que hablan en inglés, porque la clase es de 23 estudiantes por salón, por cada maestra o maestre o maestro. Normalmente la solicitud se tiene hasta va a ser el último día, va a ser el 5 de febrero y les vamos a avisar si les tocó la escuela de Sylvia Mendez como a mediados de marzo. So there will be an assessment for kids who are Spanish speaking. There are questions in the form, and then we will assess them, and then so that will happen. We're still discussing how to best do it, but please know that there will be an assessment because we need to really those 50% of the spaces that are for Spanish speaking kids, we really need to try to get as many kids because the program depends on that. Vamos a hacer un asesoramiento para los estudiantes que dicen que hablan español. Las maestras de Sylvia Mendez son las que hacen los asesoramientos. No es una prueba, es un asesoramiento. Lo que queremos saber el nivel de los estudiantes que dicen que hablan español, porque queremos reservar el 50% para los estudiantes que hablan español para que funcione el programa de Sylvia Mendez. So that's it. Anybody, any questions or anything like that? I would be glad to answer them for like the next, like, I don't know how many more minutes we have.
I have a question.
6 minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What can you tell me about out of district transfers?
As an out-of-district student, it's quite difficult to get into Sylvia Mendez because we have in Berkeley many more students who want to get who live in Berkeley, who want the program, and according to our board policy right now, students who live in Berkeley have priority over non-Berkeley residents.
Okay, so slim chance.
Very, very small chance, yes.
Okay, thank
you know, please know that we have a very extensive waiting list of families who live in Berkeley that want to get into the program every year.
Got it. Gracias.
So the question was about, la pregunta fue acerca de las personas que no viven en Berkeley, que se pueden asistir a la escuela de Sylvia Mendez. La respuesta es de que hay demasiadas personas que quieren que sus niños vayan a Sylvia Mendez y a veces es bien difícil que los podamos asignar a la escuela de Sylvia Mendez si no viven en Berkeley. Normalmente tenemos una lista de espera bien grande. Disculpen que estoy hablando bien rápido porque para tratar de que me pregunten más cosas.
Más preguntas? Any other questions for myself, for Francisco? That's it? Okay, going once, going twice.
Tengo una pregunta. En la aplicación ponen que nos preguntan la zona de Berkeley en la que vivimos. Si nosotros, por ejemplo, estoy en la zona central, pero quiero que me vaya a Sylvia Mendez, ¿esto afecta en algo el cupo, digamos, para estar en Sylvia Mendez? Porque en la zona central no me dan la elección de Sylvia Mendez.
La pregunta es acerca de Sylvia Mendez y si tiene una zona. Sylvia Mendez es la única escuela en el distrito que sirve a todo el distrito. No hay una zona en específica para como las personas que viven en la zona central o del norte. Es para todos los estudiantes que viven en Berkeley. Y cuando usted ponga la solicitud va a ver que hacia arriba cuando lo pone va a estar la escuela de Sylvia Mendez. Es una escuela para todo el distrito, Sylvia Mendez.
The red button.
The question was about, the question was about what Sylvia Mendez is a district-wide school. It's the only school that is district-wide. So it serves everybody in Berkeley, regardless of what attendance zones parents live in.
Okay, Adam, there's anybody, perdón, Fabi, ya respondimos a su pregunta, ¿sí?
Sí, sí,
Okay.
gracias.
Okay. Anybody else? I see Adam has another hand up. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I just have the same question that just came through the chat is what percent, you mentioned like there's an extensive waiting list. What percentage of students that apply get in, and what's the difference in applying in the first window, I think it's January to February versus later on, like what impact does that have in your status of getting in or not?
Okay. For families who are Spanish speaking, the chances are much greater to get into the program than families who are not English, not Spanish speaking. I can tell you that between like 150 to 200 families who are English speaking will apply, and we only will be accepting about 33, 34 students of the students who are English speaking. So the waiting list many times is like, it varies from year to year, but it's normally about like 30, 40 students who want to get into the program who are English speaking. And for English speaking, so it's much larger. For students who are Spanish speaking, and they're assessed and we determine they're Spanish speaking, normally there's no waiting list for them because the demographics of that population is much smaller than for the students who are English speaking in the district.
And does timing of the application have any implications in whether families get in or not?
If you are an English speaking student, the only chance you will have to get into the program is to apply in the first round. Because by the first round, that's when we establish the waiting list. It will be impossible as an English speaking student because you know, like at that point we already have a very, very long waiting list. So basically by then it's like all of the students who are there already assigned will have to leave for you to have a chance to get into the program.
Thank you.
And it's rare that kids leave our program. It really is. I think we've seen more kids leave now because of distance learning, just the challenges with it. It typically for in-person, then kids, they don't leave.
Yeah.
I have lots of families who are on here now who I remember them being pregnant and now their kids are coming into kindergarten. Any other questions? I apologize again for the time constraints. I did put my email in the chat. So if anybody has any follow-up questions or, you know, you're thinking tonight in bed, you're like, oh, I should ask this, you know, you can feel free to email me, contact me about anything. I'm pretty much available. We make ourselves available as much as we can so that folks can ask us about anything. So there's a question about sibling priority.
Sibling priority. So that means that the family already has a kid. If they have a kid at Sylvia Mendez, the siblings will be assigned to Sylvia Mendez, but they need to be at Sylvia Mendez at the same time. So if you have a kid that is in the 5th grade right now and you have an incoming kindergarten, you do not have sibling priority anymore. They have to they have to be at the in the same grades from kindergarten to the 5th grade in that year. La pregunta es acerca si hay prioridad para las personas que tienen ya un niño o niña en la escuela. Y sí, pero el estudiante que va a entrar debe estar en el, como por ejemplo, en el kinder, y el otro estudiante debe estar hasta el quinto, porque si el niño ahorita está en quinto, ya no va a existir prioridad. Pero sí hay prioridad para las personas que tienen otro niño, porque queremos que la familia los lleven a sus niños a la misma escuela y no va a estar yendo de una escuela a otra.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? There's also, if you have any more questions, you can always email, or for admissions at least, you can always email admissions@berkeley.net and then they'll respond to you. Is that right, Francisco?
Yes. Yes, and one of the things, you know, because I need to tell you that if you know what schools you're going to be requesting, I would encourage you to submit the forms as soon as you can, and that's because doing it via email is much more complicated. Again, and if you have questions, please know that don't email us the last week with questions, because at that point we will just going to be trying to deal with getting forms for families. So if you have questions, please email us as soon as you can, and we'll respond. Right now, I can tell you that we come in and we worked tirelessly, and at the end of the day, we have like 300 emails a day, and so right now, like we are just finishing, like today, we caught up to the emails that came over the winter break, because the staff was out for a couple of weeks, and we just caught up to like what the people began emailing us on Monday. So it's a lot. The volume is it's a lot of people emailing us, and so please help us out so we can help you.
Hefe, a question in the chat was, the TK students have priority that are currently in Sylvia Mendez.
If the students, if you have a kid, so the thing about TK is that we try to keep the families together. So if you have a kid, let's say in first grade, Sylvia Mendez, and you have an incoming TK kid, we will assign the kid, the TK kid into to Sylvia Mendez. No, we will do that. But as far as there's going to be 2 TKs at Sylvia Mendez normally. Like one is for the dual immersion program and one for regular English speaking kids. So there's 2 different classes, and we assign them differently. For the kids that are the dual immersion program in TK is kids that have siblings at Sylvia Mendez, and those kids who are Spanish speaking, when they're assessed, if they are Spanish speaking, we assign them to that. The other TK class is for anybody who lives in the Southeast zone where we need to assign them. Please know that for TK, families don't choose the schools. We choose them for them because we try to keep them in their attendance zone as much as we can, and because we don't have a TK class at every single school. So please know that. You will get to select schools once the kid enters kindergarten.
And TK is for students who are 4 years old, right?
For students who will be 5 years old between September 2nd and December 2nd of 2020.
Okay. All right. Okay, so everybody, it's 8:15 now. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. I'd love to have some dinner. So thank you so much, everybody. Muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes por venir. Ya son las 8:15. Tengo muchísima hambre, no he cenado. Así es que muchísimas gracias por su tiempo. De nuevo, si tienen preguntas, pueden escribirme a mi correo electrónico. Por favor, pongan su número telefónico también para que yo me comunique con ustedes directamente, okay? So again, I provided my email, so if you all did not get the chance to ask me a question, please feel free to email me. I will get back to you. Leave me your phone number too. That's a lot easier for me. I'll just pick up the phone and call you, okay? Okay, everybody, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for coming and joining us and learning about our program. Muchísimas gracias a todos. Muchísimas gracias. Buenas noches. Gracias por venir y aprender acerca de nuestro programa. Gracias, Michelle. Gracias.
Up to you guys.
Gracias.
Adiós.
Buenas noches.
Buenas
Gracias.
noches. Adiós. Buenas noches.
Okay, I'll see you, friend.
Nos vemos. Thank you, Francisco, for all your help. That was
Okay.
amazing. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Okay.
Okay, talk to you.
Bye.